You're on deck.
Is it me? All right. Tell me what this sound is. Don't look.
That's Unsolved.
Ooh! That right there is the sound of fear in my childhood. So if you grew up in the 90s...
That's so loud.
I could hear it like clear from here. Sorry. If you grew up in the 90s like I did, chances are, and if you had... I'm going to just say it. Bad parents. No, I'm just kidding. You might have come across Unsolved Mysteries. Did you guys ever watch that growing up?
I recognized it as soon as I saw the overhead, the aerial shot of Stonehenge. So,
Did you grow up watching it?
I didn't grow up watching it. I had seen it, though.
Oh, my gosh. So, Unsolved Mysteries, the theme song is legit the soundtrack to Fear of my childhood. And every time I was in Vegas, me and my cousins were like 8 or 9. We'd try to stay up with the older kids and watch Unsolved Mysteries, 2020, Dateline, and things like that. So I thought this week I'm going to do a couple of what I think are and what Reddit thinks are the scariest Unsolved Mysteries segments.
I'm excited.
Buckle up. All right. So this first one is from Unsolved Mysteries Season 4, Episode 16.
Ooh.
And it originally aired in 1922. So when we were little ones. All right. So it's a story about a small town in
Did you say
22?
1922? I looked at you and I was like, that didn't sound right.
They just invented the airplane.
It's like back when
the
Stonehenge.
the paper airplane. Paper.
Papa. In 1992.
Okay.
Okay. So it's about a small... Damn it.
You stupid.
Yeah, I know. I'm starting to understand why my teachers hated me too. Anyway, they're like, you can't count. No. All right. So this one takes place in a small town, a small farming town in Missouri called Clinton. And when they describe this town, it's like your quintessential middle America town. Like everyone knows each other, small population. There's like a town square. Everyone goes to the football games Friday nights, right? So this story is about a lady named Angela Hammond. And Angela, everyone called her Angie. She was 20 years old, and she was loved by everyone. She dated the star athlete in high school. They were like high school sweethearts, and he just proposed to her. So they're hanging out one night, and his name is Rob. And Rob says, hey, I got to go home. My mom's like working a late shift, so I got to watch my little brother. She said, okay, perfect. So they made plans. She was going to drop him off. He was going to watch little brother. And then when mom was done, he would go meet up with her again. So they roll up to the house. She drops him off and she says, bye. I'll call you in like an hour just to update you on what's going on. And he's like, cool. So what?
These teenage boys are the same, dude. They're all generations.
How so?
Just running away from home, meeting up with their girl.
What?
You're talking about...
No, they're
Am
like...
I hearing the wrong thing?
Yeah, they're like chill. Like he was just like, hey, I got to go home and watch my little brother. Drop me off and then we'll like meet back up later.
Never mind, I heard something
Okay.
else. I'm sorry.
Did that make sense? To you?
That's
To
what
one
I
person.
heard, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, I heard
If at
something
least
else.
1/3 of us. So in 1922, not okay. Okay, so it's 11:15, and there's a ring on the phone, and Rob picks it up, and she's like, "Hey, it's me. Like, how you doing?" And they go over the night, and just kind of she's telling him what's happening. She's 7 blocks away, so not that far, in the middle of town at a payphone. And as they're chatting, He can kind of hear her, like, I don't know, getting distant or like drifting. He's like, "What's up?" And she's like, "There's a truck." And he's like, "Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of trucks." And she's like, No. This one, it keeps circling the block. Like, I think it's its third time around." And he's like, "What's the truck look like?" She said, "It's an old Ford. It's two-toned and it's green." And he's like, "Huh." And like, they know most people in town. They're like, "Oh, maybe he's just lost. Some guy." She's like, "Oh." So they keep talking, and all of a sudden the truck pulls up right by the payphone. And Angela says, "Oh, the guy just pulled over. He's like parking. What do I do?" And Rob says, "Well, what does he look like?" And as the guy steps out of the car, she starts describing him. She says, "He looks really dirty. He has a mustache and a beard, and he's wearing overalls." And she's like, "Huh." And he's like, "Should I come down there?" She's like, "No, I think it will be fine." So the guy gets out of his truck and he walks up right to the payphone by her and he starts trying to use it. And she's like, "Oh, he's just trying to use the phone." And Rob's like, "Okay." And keep in mind, this is Unsolved Mysteries. So they're interviewing Rob. So you get to see the story as he's telling it. And as he's talking, you can like see it in his eyes. He's reliving it. And so the guy who is talking on the phone, or trying to talk on the payphone by her, turns around, goes back to his truck, pulls out a flashlight, and he's looking like in his truck. And Rob says, "Maybe you should ask him if he just wants to use the phone. He can use yours after you're done." So she asks him, and he just like shakes his head.
After she roasts him, she's like, "He's real dirty and poor looking."
I don't think he heard. Like, the guy didn't hear her.
Yeah. Do you want to use?
She's like, "This
my
asshole."
phone?
So she kind of says, "It's fine. Like, whatever. He was just trying to use the phone." And they start continuing to talk. And he's like, "Hey, I'll come meet you." And in the middle of her sentence, she screams as loud as she can. And Rob hears the phone drop. And he hears the guy say one line: "I didn't need to use the phone anyway." So Rob stands up, runs out of his house, jumps in his car, and drives in the direction of where she is. As he is speeding down the road, he sees a pickup truck going past him the other way. And out of the pickup truck, he hears Angela yell, "Rob!" And it goes yoom the other way. So he slams on the brake, turns it into reverse, and then backs up, whips around, and is chasing the truck.
Drift King.
Sorry. DK.
Yeah. So he can see two figures in this truck, like a male and what looks like Angela in the right seat, and they're struggling, right? Like, he's like grabbing her hair and pulling her around, and he's hot pursuit. He just got engaged to this woman. But what he doesn't know is when he threw his car into reverse, he effed up his entire transmission. So the truck takes a right, he screeches around the corner, takes a right, and his transmission completely gives out. And his car slows down to a stop. And he watches the truck disappear into the distance. Until this day, no sightings, and no one knows what happened to Angela. But watching him tell the story, like, terrified me as a kid. And even when I rewatched it an hour ago, you can just see the hollow void in his eyes when he describes hearing her scream on the phone. It's super weird. Forgot to mention, she also said there's a decal on the back of his window that covers the entire window of a fish jumping out of a pond. She described the make and model, the stickers on the car, what the guy looked like. So they have a ton of evidence, right? Like, they should have been able to find this car. No one ever found it. And this same guy is connected to 2 other murders in Missouri. So a month before Angela's disappearance, a 42-year-old woman was working at a convenience store, and she too was on the phone with her son. And as she's talking to her son, she said, "Hey, will you stay on the phone with me? There's this guy and he's just kind of lingering outside the convenience store. And the son is like, no, I'm coming down there. She said, how long has he been there? I don't know. I just noticed him like an hour ago, but he keeps like coming close and then leaving. So the son gets in his car, rushes down there, and when he gets to the store, there's no one there. 2 days later, they find his mom's body 10 miles away from the convenience store. She had been shot twice. And another disappearance, really similar MO. An older woman was working at a convenience store. Like witnesses saw her working there, and at some point from her locking up the convenience store and walking to her car, which is right around the corner, she was never seen again. And because this is unsolved mysteries, most of these are unsolved, and so this one's unsolved. I don't know how to end it.
I think that Rob did it.
Okay.
I thought about that, dude.
And then I think the other dude was a copycat.
That's an awesomely wrong theory because immediately suspicions turn to Rob.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's like, there's no way he's such a good dude, right?
That's what they said about
So they
Ted
bring
Bundy.
him. Did they though? No, I'm just kidding. So they bring him in for questioning, and after 2 days of like intense questioning, they don't go into it, but he's completely cleared by the authorities.
That wouldn't be the first time that someone guilty was cleared by authorities.
It's true. And you can never really say. You can just hope that like the officials did their job justly. But I don't know. Back in the day, like police were, what's the right word so I don't sound like an asshole? Juvenile? No. I don't know. They've just made a lot of advancements in forensics and police work since the 80s. But that is the story of Angela Hammond.
I try to think of like helpless situations. That sucks, dude.
Just being on the phone with your loved one and hearing their last.
Well, also like his truck, his
Oh.
transmission failing and
Oh,
breaking
yeah.
down. I can see him trying to restart his car, like step on the gas, nothing.
He said in his interview that was the hardest time in his life, was being that close and knowing you could do nothing.
I don't trust him. I don't trust him.
Well, innocent until proven guilty. So if any of you have information on
Angela
this
Hammond.
disappearance, contact Unsolved Mysteries, not us.
Contact 911.
Also, was she rich? Because, like, a payphone, like, she's just putting quarters in, putting more quarters in. Why didn't she just go and talk to him? He was babysitting a little kid.
A lot of people, so I read a lot of the forums and like a lot of the comments on it, and most of them, like you, were blaming the victim. So, no, I'm just kidding. But a lot of them were like, why would she not just go home? And I don't know. There was a lot of like different theories. One of it was like, she was being cute. And I was like, what?
In a payphone?
I don't know, dude.
That is not cute, to quote your wife.
Not cute. Anyway, I don't know. But stuff like that, I wish I could know the answer. It's pretty unfulfilling. So I'm sorry. I blue-balled everyone.
I feel like it's always just easy to come up with like what to do when you're not in the situation at the time and you're not under pressure.